What's your name?
Jack Hoffman.
Jack Hoffman of J. Irwin Productions.
There we go.
All right.
Hang on.
Is that Bob?
Hang on.
Luke Costello.
Doc, I don't know if I see us yet on our page.
should be there now.
Okay.
What's that?
I said I don't know if I can see us yet.
We're logging in, Bob.
Oh, you're logging in. Okay.
You should be on there right now. Wherever Tom put you, where'd you put it? Your page, Tom?
My page.
No.
No.
Funny talk.
It's supposed to be on Funny Talk.
I kept asking you.
I'm going to switch
And
out
I kept
my
on
seat.
saying Funny Talk. Hang on.
I'm switching out my seat. This thing is...
Thomas.
I'm here.
Okay. Hang on, Bob.
Bob, Bob, keep putting dimes in the phone.
Okay. Alexander 2222. How's the coffee business? Just a grind.
It's a grind.
Okay. Yeah, Tom, you put it on your page, not on our.
Can a link be put onto Funny
I'm
Talk with
moving it
Mangelli
to
and
Funny
Max?
Talk right now.
There we go.
So while
Okay.
Doug's doing that, I just want to mention that today's episode is about Bud Abbott of Abbott and Costello. And we're going to be celebrating Bud Abbott's 112th birthday, or the 112th anniversary
We think so, yes.
of his birthday.
We think so, but more important than
He
that.
doesn't look a day over 110, I'll tell you.
But somebody
A
else.
natal anniversary.
But somebody else more important to us right now, and I know to all our listening audience, is the birthday of my good friend, Thomas Mangelli. And we already ate all his cake.
I'd show the cake, though, please. Tom, can we show the cake?
The
Yeah.
cake is eaten. It says, "Happy birthday, you fat bastard."
What kind of cake?
It's,
A
a,
white cake with white icing.
it's a white sheet cake.
So, ladies and gentlemen, also on
Racist
Funny Talk
term.
is our special guest, friend of the show, Bob Greenberg, comedian, comedy historian, comedy imitator, comedy whatever else. Lots of stuff. Hey,
Guilty
Bob.
as charged. Guilty as charged.
Welcome, Bob.
So, we've decided, since everybody on the show knows more about Bud Abbott than me, that I am going to play the role of helpful MC and facilitator, moderator. So as long as you guys follow my directions, nobody's going to get hurt.
That's
We
good.
understand one another.
Structure.
All right. So listen, since Bob came the furthest all the way from the phone call,
You got it.
Bob, talk to us about Bud Abbott. Or not.
Bud Abbott was a genius. Bud Abbott even did Bud Abbott on the cartoons when we were kids. Does anybody remember those cartoons?
Yes,
Those
sure.
barbaric
Absolutely.
cartoons where poor Bud was very old. He was like, Costello, go fight the monster. He still gave it his all. And a real pro from, I guess he was born in Asbury Park, New Jersey, but he was brung up in Coney Island, Brooklyn.
Well, wait a minute.
wait.
Hold on.
Hold it,
Hold on.
Bob.
Hold
Hold it,
on.
Bob.
We happen to have already, there's a controversy about that. So I'm going to pass it over to our good friend, expert, Jeff Salamondo.
Actually, he was born in Reading, Pennsylvania. But there's always...
Really?
Yeah, really.
He was not born in Asbury Park, as
Nope.
previously noted?
Not brought into the world now. But he was born in Reading, Pennsylvania, and there's a discrepancy between the year he was actually born. In every Abbott and Costello publication there is, he is stated as being born in 1895, but simple things like his draft card or what have you, it's, say, 1897. So I went back to the source, and I had...
1890? So he was really old.
He was older than Lou. He was probably 10, 11 years older than Lou. That feedback is...
Well, 1890, but that's even older than, 1895 made him like almost 10 years older than Lou, right?
Yeah, about
years
11.
older now. So that, if he was born in 1890, he was like 16 years
Yeah.
older than Lou.
But there was a discrepancy between, because you go on Wikipedia, they say 1897. I just went back and I asked. I said, "Hey, what year was it?" 1895. Okay, so I'm going with 1895. So it's going to be what, the 113th birthday?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's always been a discrepancy, but actually he was, from what I understand and from what all the research I've done is Reading, Pennsylvania. Our friend Jenny Capitelli, she's like, get a birth certificate. But
It's called Donald Trump, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh my
But
God. It's funny because I would love, and I'm surprised the Coney Island people never did this. There are important markers, landmarks of Bud Abbott history in Coney Island, and no one's bothered to the Casino Theater. I think is still there. And that's supposedly where Billy Gilbert drafted Bud Abbott out of the box office to go on stage, supposedly for the first time, as the legend goes. Also, there was a place that Bud's dad ran. I think it was like Midget World or something like that. And there was also the House of Mirrors, or the Hall of Mirrors, that Bud used to help meet people out for some money, because he knew how to get through the mirrors and get outside. There's all these landmarks in Bud's history.
He did,
I'm
yeah.
surprised the
He
Coney
had those
Island
odd
people
jobs.
never bothered to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Blockers or just tell people this is where Bud Abbott grew up and learned, how to be a carnival blocker, or learn showbiz.
Bob,
It's kind of an
Bob,
important thing,
I heard that the Midget World was next to the miniature golf course, but they just called it golf.
well, one of the big rumors that was floating around was his being
Well,
shanghaied.
times have changed.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Is that true?
Bud's dad was a circus guide, a circus advance man, and he
Right.
knew a lot of midgets. You can't say midgets now. Little people, I think, is the proper term. Little people. And
I'm
in
a
the
little
off
person.
season, they had no work,
little
So
on every side.
they created this Lilliputian world, and they lived in these rooms that you could see them, cooking and hanging out, and people paid money to walk through and look at them.
Yeah, they had live
This is-
displays.
Wow.
Bob,
And they lived there.
Bob, I don't know if you've heard, but you can get tickets to do a tour of my home, and you can watch me. I begin every day making espresso, and I'll make my dad eggs, and then
It
I
does
appear
work.
again.
It
You're
does
welcome.
work.
You can, just not in the bathroom.
Yeah, there you go.
You can watch me. You can sit on the sofa while I'm on the computer.
When I come by with the bus, with the whole tour, can we steal grapefruits from your tree or
my
You know
something?
something? We don't have grapefruit, but I'd be happy to make you guys knishes if
Oh,
you give
cool.
me a little notice.
Oh,
I'm there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sour cream or...
Bob, applesauce, sour cream, I'll have it all. I'll even have some of the gelatin
Sweet.
left over from the gefilte fish. We've been saving that since the 70s.
Oh.
Because nobody likes it.
it's good to bathe in.
Jeez.
And Bud Abbott was Jewish. You know that, right?
Yep.
I didn't
No,
know.
I didn't know that.
Bob,
Yeah.
I just claim, Tom hasn't picked it up yet. I just claim every funny comedian is Jewish. And then he's like, no, they were Italian.
But Doug, you're Jewish.
Hey! I can hear,
Is that why you got
So-
60%?
Okay, so you
Hey,
know
Jeff?
something? Hold on. Moderator Doug on. Jack, what are your favorite memories about Bud Abbott? What do you know about him?
The biggest question I have about Bud Abbott, because I do believe he was the best straight man ever in all of show business, but when did that mustache come on? Because I remember the TV show he had
Yes.
the mustache. A lot of the movies he didn't. A couple of the later movies,
Jack
I
and
think he had the
Beanstalk.
mustache.
Jack and the Beanstalk. I'm not Captain Kidd. I think maybe. Well, let me think. Was it Jack? Which came first? I think Captain Kidd came first. It was one of those. Was the first mustache.
It's there, it's
Bud
gone,
Abbott
it's
movie.
there, it's gone. And he has it, he doesn't. And so many out there, when you post a picture and you're not sure of the year, so many on the Facebook pages are like, it's 1952 because he has the mustache. Or he
See,
doesn't have the
right.
mustache.
I'm Italian. My grandmother had it all the time.
Well, do you fellas remember the episode where they shot their TV show completely out of order? They shot a lot of episodes
Right.
one year, and then a year later they finished them. And there's one episode where in the middle of the episode, Abbott has the mustache because it was shot a year later from the opening scene and the closing scene. So there's a scene of Abbott pushing his mustache, pushing it in the mirror, and saying, "I had to put on this mustache to disguise myself."
Really?
Really?
Right?
That's awesome.
I know. So all these does supposedly is he puts on a little pencil-thin mustache and doesn't change the fedora, the hat, or his partner, Lou Costello. But this mustache, this little pencil-thin mustache, will get him disguised.
Oh, Jesus.
Don't cry, Bob. This is a comedy show.
Okay, now my next thing I'd like to talk about though is his wife was in show business,
Oh my
wasn't
God,
she?
yeah, yeah.
Jeff, can you tell us a little bit, maybe? And Bob,
I've gone back. Well, the early vaudeville, the burlesque days, they were a team for a long time. You know, Betty Abbott and Bud
He
Abbott.
was a comedian too.
Yeah.
wasn't
Oh,
she?
yeah.
A
He
comedian?
was.
She was
And
a funny lady.
she was a dancer, and he was the comedian. And they billed them as brother and sister in a lot of places across the country. Because
why
of
would
course,
they do that?
Because she was the dancer, she was the cute girl, and they wanted to provide this illusion that she was still single, that any guy
It's
could
all
have
relative.
her, and and she was making more. She was actually making more money than him at the time too. And this is when they were newly married. You can go back. I found articles from newspapers dating as far back as 1926 when they were in Altoona, Pennsylvania, playing Gaiety theaters and doing certain shows. And there's you can't really see it from here, but I have an actual picture of them, and this is 1935. So I don't know if you can really see anything.
No,
but
they can't. Unless you want to walk up to the camera and hold it up there.
I
for
can do
people.
that if you want.
You can
Sure.
do that.
But she was a dancer, and
Stand by with the door.
and it was called Wine, Women, and Song. And this was the Lyric Theater, I believe, and it was in Altoona, Pennsylvania. And it's October 1935, and I'll walk up to the camera. Hold on.
Oh, I'm imagining it.
Okay, our Facebook viewers, I'm sorry, you're gonna. Our
Doc,
view will
Doc
be lost
coordinate
in a
this,
second.
please. Perfect.
She was an attractive woman with nice legs. I believe.
Wait, she's the one on the left?
Yep. The one in the dress, yes.
No, the nice legs were Jeff.
Yes.
Bob.
I've got my
I
You
thought
saw
I
that,
see.
yeah.
I need my glasses.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, they were in burlesque for quite a while before Lou came along. And there are a couple of articles here from 1935, 1936, where they're not billed together, Bud and Lou, but they were playing together in the Schubert Theater in Philadelphia.
What year did they officially partner?
I'd say 36, but the way I'm reading it, there's so many different versions of what happened. But I'm going through the cited sources. Like the newspapers that you can find today haven't been around,
Right.
but they're cited from way back then. So we're learning new information every day. So from what I can
Right,
piece
Jeff,
together,
I think the story was that they both were working in different teams.
Yes.
I think Abbott was supposedly with Harry Stepp.
absolutely.
And Lou was with somebody else at the Elton.
It was Lyons and
somehow
Costello.
they crossed over in skits, and I think they did the Lemon Table routine.
Oh yeah, they were builds.
Isn't that the first time they became aware of each other? I guess more or less.
They
right?
were builds. They were built separately. Lou was with a man named Bobby Morris for a while, according to the Philadelphia Inquirer, and Buddy and Betty were a team, and they appeared with comedians that I really don't know much about. Maybe you might, Bob. Milton Fromm, Bob Hamilton, Bob Snyder. They could be area comics. I'm not quite sure.
Right.
Bob Hamilton started a radio network, and we're there right now.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
So I'm going to ask Bob. You began by saying Bud Abbott was a genius. So who did the writing? How did the writing work between Abbott and Costello? Anybody?
Well, the writing was always on the wall or on pieces of paper. The skits were pretty much 100 years old, I think, when Bud and Lou hit the burlesque wheel. So it was kind of like, classic burlesque wheel material. I mean, all their routines and stuff.
The one thing they did right was the Who's on
basically
First.
I guess there was a guy, Billy K. Wells. If you guys look up this guy, Billy K. Wells, he's credited for a lot of those burlesque routines, like the Susquehanna Hat Company and things like that. But
Susquehanna Hat
You know?
Company.
A
Sorry.
lot of these acts go back hundreds of years, really. Back to the British comedy.
John Grant supposedly had minstrel books from the 1870s.
So how did these
or
guys
something.
get to be so
And-
great? They're stealing material.
In one of the
Chemistry.
books,
That's
it
what it
mentions
was.
that I forget
not-
which, if it was a producer or a director, looked
That's
saw
what we
a
need,
skit,
Bob.
I think in Pardon My Sarong, It might be the one with the coconut sitting Lou every time he looks at a girl. He did a similar thing in Go to Mars. The balloons popped if he thinks of a girl in a certain way or whatever. That supposedly goes back to some sort of minstrel show.
And it was common to
routine
borrow
that
material.
was
It wasn't really
30
considered
years
an
before they
infringement.
teamed up,
That's what we, Tom, we ought to
the-
steal
Their
from the
material was
minstrels.
historic when they did it then, so it's amazing because without them, it probably wouldn't have kept alive.
Oh,
They did it on
absolutely.
film and radio.
And they
TV,
shared
so
material. They
They
created
really
it. They
participated in its, in recycling, I guess you could say, but in perpetuating the humor.
and they rebuilt on the material. They expanded the material, and then you pepper in the chemistry. Bud himself.
Tom has expanded a lot of material.
Mostly polyester and cotton.
he was credited. Bud was credited as being the king of the double act, where you have a comedian and a straight guy with two different personalities, and they play off of each other. Now anyone can do that, but to have the chemistry that they had, that's quite a rare thing.
Jeff, you're on our show. You haven't. How can you not notice the chemistry that Tom? Look at the chemistry. That
I'm
we have.
freaking blinded
Can't you
by
just
it.
Feel it. Radio
I can't tell
audience.
chemistry on my-
The
on my-
radio
on my
audience would
phone.
be
I can
missing
hear
it.
I can hear it on my phone.
I'm like I've got goosebumps, man. I don't know.
They,
what to tell
but it's sad because the radio, our listening audience, and we could have like close to
You have to-
100,000 people
you-
listening.
you have to
right
do-
now. They're not. I don't think they can pick up the glittering between Tom and I.
because you have to do a sitcom. You have to
Sounding
get.
soft, Doug. Your mic is soft.
But now we can feel your presence, definitely.
Hang on, let me plug it in. If you know what
the-
I
Oh,
mean.
boy.
The Richter scale can sense my presence.
What happened?
But they were an uneven pairing, just like you two. So they were an uneven pairing, and
Right.
it played off.
I always think
you know?
it's funny because between us, I'm always like the brute. I'm like the mean one.
You're-
and then I feel guilty immediately for hurting his feelings.
You're a gentle giant. You are. You're very mellow. You're very mellow. You're very middle of the
no,
road.
I've been a bad boy.
But the next thing you know, he's
I've
picking you up and throwing you through a friggin' wall.
There's always room for mellow.
Absolutely.
Now, after Lou died, 1959, did Bud continue working a solo?
He found-
And I know he did the cartoons.
Candy Candido. Candy Candido.
That's it. Candy Candido. He paired up with him.
Did he? And for how long did that last?
Not very long,
About
right?
an
Bob?
hour.
Yeah, but they did a couple of
They
TV shows.
did work. They did
Yeah.
do like
Guest
fake
spots on
fairs,
TV
and
shows?
They may have done
Yeah.
some nightclub. They did a little touring, but I think the story goes. I think Bud had an epileptic seizure on a plane trip going back from one gig to the other, and Candy didn't quite know what to do.
Oh.
And I guess Bud just felt he was getting too old.
That's
'Cause-
because he ordered the
You know what I
Caesar
mean?
salad.
I guess.
Well, Lou knew.
Something like that happened.
Lou. They were so.
Tom
in
had a
sync.
perfect fit.
They were so in sync that Lou could sense
Right.
when Bud was going into a fit. He would punch him in the stomach, and that would like kind of end the act, and he'd pull him behind a curtain,
Really?
and then he would,
Yeah.
pull a pencil
So-
out and all that. And
Did he suffer from that his whole adult life?
from what I understand, yeah.
Wow.
He didn't drive.
Yeah,
you know that?
and
Yeah, he didn't.
Jeff, I think you know about this too. That Bud was shanghaied. I think when he was
No, he wasn't.
17 or 18, he was on some sort of ship. He was like his family thought he was gone. I mean, he was gone. He was traveling the seven seas. More than likely, he probably had a seizure in a bar or
my
something,
God.
and they just absconded with him. You know
Now,
what I mean? But he
I
came
had-
back as soon as the ship finished. Was it
No,
a year? I forget how
Jeff
long
says
he was
he-
away. But
That's
they were
a
happy
big
to see
story.
him, but he returned. So I guess he was afflicted, but it's assumed that he had a seizure probably in the bar, and they
I heard a
hijacked him.
weird thing. I believe it's all genetically predisposed, but his mother was in the circus, and I believe she was on bareback horse riding
Right,
while she
for
was
Ringling
expecting
Brothers.
him. And
Oh,
that
really?
Apparently,
So do you
someone
think-
mentioned.
Really?
Yeah,
Now I had heard
Why
he
didn't
only
they?
had 3 toes on the right foot and had to condition his
that I don't know,
special
man.
custom shoes from a tiny village in Italy.
that I don't know.
Okay, I
It
just
could be
made
very
that.
true.
I made that up because like I said, I have more important.
You
things to
are
do
a
than study.
wealth of knowledge
If I make it
Absolutely.
up.
when
A
it
wealth.
comes to made up information
I'm
about
really
the
good at-
classic comedians.
He's a wealth of misinformation.
But Bob will tell you too. Like, he had a very good career going for a number of years before he paired up with Lou. But he was all over the country practically.
Yeah, I mean, Abbott is pretty amazing in a way because the epilepsy definitely did occur. Supposedly, they say more likely toward the evening for some reason, and he used to sort of drink a little bit to ease it, I guess. But there's all these reports, like in Bob Furman's book, of people who worked on Abbott and Costello films, and some of them say that Bud was a little aloof, and he had a nurse with him, or he had some guy with him. He was definitely sometimes sick, obviously, or more prone to seizures than others. And he had to leave the set, I think, at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock because he was afraid that he'd have a seizure. So this was sort of hanging over his head while he was making us laugh. You think about the, laugh, clown, laugh, right? It's
Yeah.
a bit of
But that's the real world.
There's
Bud,
a
don't you
term
think?
for that, night walker syndrome or something. Oh man, I can look it up. But supposedly certain disorders become more advanced in the evening hours. Alzheimer's is one of them. And
That's true,
epilepsy.
Yeah, because I think that was in their contract too, and he had to leave at a specific time, like 4 o'clock.
And
that
what
was it.
how they managed between both of them had health issues, and they stuck beside each other, not working when Lou was
Right.
ill for months at a time, not working at all, and then. Hey, I could go on stage and I could do this, but Bud was like, "No, I'm a man of my word. We're a team. We're not going to do it." And that's stand-up stuff.
Right.
You
Yeah,
keep,
I know there's press clippings of interviews. Well, Bud's under the weather, or Bud's sick, or Lou's under the, this is all code for whatever they were truly going through, which was, rheumatic fever and epilepsy.
Yep,
Which,
yeah.
It's pretty amazing that, they hung in there.
Well, their
It's,
schedule.
could not have been easy doing all those
No.
burlesque shows. They were doing radio, they were doing Broadway at some point, almost simultaneously, right?
All the films
They were
and
doing like 100
touring.
different things.
And touring, though, every time a
Very
film
New
opened.
York,
Oh my God!
running
Not
from
only
one place
that,
to the other, it must have been
Must-
quite a.
And there was the
stressful
touring for
situation,
selling the
not
war
to mention,
bonds too.
war
energetic,
bonds
right?
and every movie that they opened, and then they were heavy on the political circuit at one point in time, and they were supporting certain people. I have articles from when they came to high schools in my hometown in Trenton, New Jersey. They were friends with Ike Williams, a lightweight boxer champion, and he came from my town. And I'm flipping through a yearbook for another project that I'm working on, completely unrelated to Abbott and Costello, and right in the middle from 1948, bam, they're right there, and I'm like, what? So I'm reading up about that. But it's I can't comprehend the physical exhaustion that these two must have encountered with their work schedules. 3 movies in 1 year to start,
Right.
and 4 really, if you think about it.
Now, how old was Lou when he died?
50, a couple days shy of his 53rd birthday.
53, I think,
53, right?
Yeah.
Look at all they did in that short
right?
time.
So, 59.
I know.
Did they end up?
Am I doing the math right? 53?
Yeah,
Very
59.
young.
He passed a couple days before his birthday, 53rd.
Did they end
Right.
up financially secure?
Yeah, that's a big rumor, and from what I was told and from what I understand, they were both okay. Like Lou was a little better off, I believe, from certain. He had separate ventures like inventions and investments that he had made. And I think you got to remember that Bud lived 15, 16 years longer.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was that bad. I think that was you had fake news in today.
But
you
you
had
know,
fake
I
news in
wonder
1959.
because I see now, celebrities with the money that they have, and you hear about people that are destitute, and you're thinking like they made $15 million. What did they do with it? Well, they spent $10 million
But
in a year.
they came-
they came from a far different time.
They came out of an era where they knew the value of a buck.
My
know?
father is 95, so he came from that. He went through World War II. He
Yeah.
went through the same thing.
Right.
And my father's still like, if I say to him something like it's a buck, he's like, "Wow, that's a lot." I'm like, "Dad, that's like you're getting everything for free now."
Right.
But when you have 30 cents, a buck is a lot. So
When a buck was a buck.
He remembers when White Castles were 20 for $1.
What?
And they had, but the
And they
Wait,
made
wait,
you
wait,
just
wait.
a cent.
no, but they
20
only had 3.
20
what did I
for a
say?
buck?
I'm sorry, 20 for $1.
5 cents each.
But they only hit. But back then, they had 3 flavor holes in them. Now, if you know your White Castle, there are 5 flavor holes. I'm fantasizing that my grandkids will grow up in a world where the White Castle is all flavor holes.
Oh my
Can you
God.
imagine how delicious that would be?
That is
If it's
freaking
got enough
hilarious.
holes, they could sell it at Dunkin' Donuts.
I don't like the direction this
But I'm
conversation's
bummed.
going, then, guys.
And I have another Bud Abbott question.
Hold on. Excuse me.
Moderator.
My moderator control.
Almost early
Jack,
in his
you have a
career,
question
and
for us?
especially in the 50s and whatnot.
I don't think
And
Bob
somebody
can
who
hear us.
worked
Can
with
Bob
them,
hear us?
Something they were touring around
Can he?
the Savoy Hotel.
I don't think you can hear us.
Is he reading the phone book again?
I have $5,000 for Bob Greenberg.
Bob?
Earlier 50s, let's say.
I don't think you can hear us.
noted that Charlie would wear a shirt, and then he'd come into the hotel and he'd take off the shirt and he'd
Welcome
hang
to the
it
Bob
up
Greenberg
in
Show.
And then
the
in third
bathroom.
grade,
And the other guy said to him, Charlie, should I include that into the laundry? He says, no,
So
it
wouldn't
costs
it be funny
25
if he
cents.
hasn't been able to hear
Into the
anything
shirt.
the whole
So
time?
that's too expensive. The guy says, Charlie, you're a multi-millionaire. You could wear a new shirt every day and throw it away. He says, no. From where I come from, I have to wear that shirt at least twice before I spend any money cleaning it.
Right, I hope you go to the dry cleaner often.
Bob, can you hear
We had to
us?
hang it up and let it dry out.
you can't hear us.
Wear it again either later that night or the next day.
You just landed a sitcom, Bob. Oh, you heard that?
Bob, can you hear us?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay.
Because when you're talking, you can't hear us. We're trying to interrupt
I
you.
can.
We're trying to interrupt because we're rude.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
I-
Just
No, I guess I
checking.
can't.
Anyway,
The
Jack
question-
Hoffman, the
Jack?
seat, the floor. Jack Hoffman, you have the floor.
Good, I'll vacuum it. The question I had, though, I remember there was a Bud Abbott Jr. Did the Abbotts have more than one child? How many kids
A
did
boy
they have?
and a girl,
Girl.
they were both adopted.
Really?
Yeah.
And either...
I met the boy.
and his
Very,
name was Bud Abbott Jr.?
He wore a Star of David and a crucifix, and I asked him about his parents, and that's how I knew Bud was Jewish.
Wow. And are either of them still alive or no?
He passed away. His daughter's still alive, though.
Yeah? Wow.
Out in California, I believe.
Yeah, the daughter's alive, right? Vicki Wheeler, I think.
So did he raise the
correct?
kids
Vicky Wheeler?
Jewish?
That I don't know.
Bob, how did he raise the kids?
Yes.
Did he raise the kids Jewish? Or is I guess his wife was
No,
not?
as far as I know, he didn't. I kind of, my ears are always open to things Jewish, and the only real Jewishy thing I saw that Bud did was his wife Betty. It's in the Jim Mulholland book. There's a picture. His wife Betty converted to Judaism and remarried, I should say, remarried Bud with a rabbi in the early 50s. And there's a clipping of it and a picture of it, in the Jim Mulholland book, the Abbott and Costello book. So she did that for Bud because he was Jewish, because I guess his mother was Jewish, I gather. So she did that. So that's the only Jewy thing that I know about Bud Abbott. There's no record of him, performing at the Actors Temple. You know what I mean? There's no shots of him with the yarmulke. I don't see that. But his wife did that. So that's kind of interesting.
That's surprising, because I never really knew he was Jewish at all.
No,
And
that's the
between
big
two,
surprise
if
tonight.
I almost would have guessed Lou. His persona would have been he fit in. But there's I see a lot of similarities between Jewish humor and Italian humor.
There's the old movie magazines like Screenland or what have you. I came across a feature, and of course there's a lot of fluff inside them, inaccurate information. And there was one feature that had mentioned that Lou's wife was looking to adopt 2 little boys on the East Coast, and this was during the war bond drive, which makes no sense because she was expecting them herself. And they apparently, from what I read, and I can't tell you if it's true or not, they said that Bud was on the war bond drive when he met this little boy who turned out to be his son, and they adopted him.
Wow.
And that's, I'm not sure if that's true. Please don't cite me on that, but
It could be studio PR.
Yeah, it could be
Yeah.
exactly.
Do
It
you
could be
know, are
studio
the
PR.
Costellos still adopting? I'm a great cook. I'm OCD clean.
I don't know. I think there's a long line.
Bob, I wanted
But
to
are you
ask
a
you.
bad boy?
Bob, I wanted to ask you. I understand that Abbott and Costello really got their first break on the what was it, the Kate Smith Hour?
Yes, Henny Youngman wanted to get out of his contract. Henny Youngman was the comedian on the show, and Hollywood called. Obviously, they didn't call for long. He didn't make a big career or a big splash in Hollywood, but he needed a replacement, and he saw Abbott and Costello playing, I think, at the Lowe's Theater at Times Square, one of the Lowe's theaters, and he talked Kate Smith's, I think it was her husband, who was also her producer, to give a look at them, and he approved them as a replacement act for Henny for a short time, but they eventually stayed, and Henny, I don't think ever came back. They were such a big hit, but of course the one act that Ted was his name, I can't remember his last name, Ted something. The one routine he didn't want them to do was Who's On First, because he felt it was too visual. So it took a long time before they actually did Who's On First on the radio. Which is
And
kinda
I
interesting.
understand they
I
did
think
that.
Mother and Father were the first
It took a lot of
routine they did
practice
on
in his
the,
basement.
on the airways.
Yeah.
And- Go ahead, Tom.
I understand that they did it repeatedly on that show, the Who's on First.
Who's on, eventually, yeah, it was the legend goes that they claimed at some point that they had no more routines, and reluctantly they were permitted to do Who's on First, which was a big hit, and it became then I don't know if it was a monthly event or a bi-monthly event, but yeah, they had requests to do that a lot. So evidently, Kate's producer / husband was a little off on that. Who's on First?
Now, this October, besides being Bud's birthday, which happens to be October 2nd, a good person I know is also born October 2nd, me. And,
Yeah,
That's right.
And Groucho and Sting,
Yes.
Lorraine Bracco. There's many. Muhammad.
My wife is born October 2nd as
There
well.
you go, right?
Mahatma Gandhi.
And
As is
Mahatma
Groucho
Gandhi.
Marx. It's an amazing day for births.
That's kind of
That's
cool.
it. But also coming up, I'll mention one thing, but I know Jeff has something to mention, and I know Bob does too. A couple things coming up for Abbott and Costello. This month is the 70th anniversary of Abbott and Costello Meet
It's
Frankenstein.
amazing.
Yeah.
70 years, and it's one of my top 10 movies of all time, definitely. I know it's going to be on Svengoolie later in the month. I'm sure it'll be on TCM or some of the TV
I
channels.
would venture to say it's the most recognizable Abbott and Costello movie.
By far, I
Oh,
would
a cult classic, definitely.
by far.
Yeah.
Now, Jeff, you've got something that we're going to be at on Saturday.
Right. We are actually Lou's Angels, the volunteer group that does all the celebrations in the Lou Costello Park cleanup. We're hosting a birthday anniversary party for Bud Abbott at the Patterson Museum on the 13th, which is this Saturday from 1 to 4. And we're
Great tradition.
Oh, it's
Fun
a
day.
lot of fun, and so many people show up, and it's just such a great. Great atmosphere, and
they
everyone's
have
just
cake.
smiling, and we're going to have cake. So
They have cake.
definitely.
And you're going to show, do you know what films?
No, actually, our Jenny Capitelli is picking out all that right now. We're going to have some entertainment, and we're going to show some clips, and we're going to talk about Bud's talents as a straight man and how they were incorporated into some of the acts.
And Ginny and Jan are watching and commenting as we go along here tonight.
Oh, they are? Okay,
Yep.
very good. And we're going to have the Abbott and Costello impersonators there, and of course, our two, Tom and Doug, are going to be there too. So Lou and Gil, the Abbott and Costello
They're
impersonators,
very
are going to
good.
be there. Oh, they're wonderful. Then
Yeah.
they're a lot
They're
of fun.
excellent.
They're a lot of fun to hang out with. And we'll have a grand cake cutting ceremony. We quite possibly we're going to have a couple of Costello family members there because there's a few close by, which is
Nice.
always an added treat. So. But we're also going to have a little special event going on, and we're going to have a raffle. The Abbott and Costello families were kind enough, and I'll just hold it up right here. You might not be able to see it, but they donated 5 movie stills that are signed by members of both families. So we're just going to have like a little raffle and come
Jeff?
in, and you can buy a piece of
That's
history.
wonderful.
You might. This one's a lot lighter. You might want
Yeah.
to take this one up to the camera
I
and
will do
show
that.
folks. These are actually signed by
By-
the
Absolutely.
existing family members.
Yep, absolutely.
And these are stills from some of their great films. This is from Buck Privates, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's signed by Patty Costello, Chris Costello, Chrissy Abbott, and Betty Abbott,
You
it looks
got it.
like.
Yep,
I love the
absolutely.
That
I'll bring
is
that
so
up there.
cool.
And for those of you who love Abbott and Costello, I mean, these are priceless. And the ticket prices are very inexpensive. They're like a $1 each, or I believe 7 for $5, 10 for $15. So they're really reasonable, and you can actually, if you're lucky enough, take home a little bit of history with you.
So next Saturday, October 13th,
13.
1 p.m. to 4, Patterson Museum.
To Market Street. Yeah.
Right.
And it's
And-
also very close by the Lou
And-
Costello Memorial Park. You can go and visit.
Yeah. Yes. It's
And
close by.
Jan
And-
reminds
and-
us it's a
and
silent
may I add
auction.
that
No,
the
it's
party
a
will
raffle.
Continue on the 14th in New York City.
Okay.
With a screening of Who Done It. I was asked to program at the Film Forum an Abbott and Costello show, and it's hard because Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, they showed it. Hold That Ghost, they showed it. So Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man, they showed it. So they asked me, what other film do you think is really a great Abbott and Costello film? And I had to really think about it, and then I realized Who Done It is a really good candidate because it's prime Bud and Lou, and it's a funny film. There's not There's no musical numbers, which is kind of rare for an early Bud movie. So we're showing it the next day. So I guess the Bud Abbott party continues in New York. It's at 11 a.m. Like when I used to watch Abbott and Costello as a kid, it was 11 a.m. on Channel 11 on Sunday. But it's Sunday.
So
October 14th
that's
at the Film Forum, which is 209 West Houston Street. And my friend Joe Bevan and I, we do a tribute to Abbott and Costello live, and then we're showing A Tale of Two Kitties, great Warner Brothers cartoon, and then Who Done It, all on the big screen, and it's only $9, a bargain.
Bob. Again, what's that address for the Film Forum? That's Sunday at 11 a.m.
The Film Forum is 209 West Houston Street, New York City. If you Google Film Forum, New York City, you'll find it. And the show's at 11 a.m. It's a matinee, 11 a.m. And it's Who Done It, Tale of Two Kitties, my friend Joe Bevan and I doing our tribute to Abbott and Costello. And it's only $9. And it's great to watch Bud and Lou on the big screen. It's just fantastic. It's great to hear the kids laugh. You know, it's a kiddie matinee, and the kids just go crazy. We did Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man not too long ago, and it was fantastic to hear them.
Bob,
laugh.
could you
It's
put
great.
something to that effect onto the Funny Talk web Facebook page?
What's that?
Could you post something to the Facebook?
Post a
Yes,
link.
I can. I can go on. I can go on in a few minutes and do that.
Okay.
Sure.
Great.
I'll tell you, anyone who's listening and likes old movies, whether your genre was comedies or action films or love stories or musicals or whatever, the Film Forum, sign up for their on Facebook, sign up for their emails. They run stuff 7 days a week. There's always something going on there that's really great about history of film. Good stuff there.
Oh, absolutely.
So we've talked
So
about Bud
wonderful.
Abbott,
This
but we
weekend
have not.
So Abbott and Costello friendly, isn't it? I think it's just a wonderful thing.
It's wonderful. It is.
So we've talked about Bud Abbott. We've talked about a few of his films, or their films. Do we have favorites?
My gosh. I mean, I'm the
That's a
underdog.
no.
No, I'm the underdog because the Dance with Me Henry always had a bad rap for some reason. I don't understand why, but to me, it's one of my favorites because it's probably one of it's the most appropriate swan song. I mean, for them, it's like them saying thank you to all the children that made them who they were.
Right.
And that's the way I interpreted it. And so many people kind of just give it a not so positive reaction, and I
Now,
don't understand why.
They did that after they left Universal.
The one movie, right? But that
Yeah,
but Private
United
Stuff.
Artists, right? It was United
UA.
Artists. I
Mhm.
believe.
Tom, do you have a favorite?
I like The Time of Their Lives.
Yeah.
That's when Costello was the ghost in the well.
Yep.
Okay.
The Revolutionary.
The Revolutionary,
War
yep.
times.
Now, weren't they supposed to play opposite roles in that? I heard something about that. Like, I think midway through, Lou wanted to switch, and they were
Really?
like, no, we're not going to do it that
Oh,
way.
I didn't hear that. I did hear that through most of the filming, Abbott and Costello were never really in the same scene together.
Apparently, yeah, I heard the same thing too. But I heard something along the lines where he got the idea to switch characters for some reason, and I don't maybe he wasn't feeling Horatio or what have you, but he wanted to do it, and they said no.
Jack, do you have a favorite Abbott and Costello movie?
Well, by far, Meet and Frankenstein.
Yeah.
By far.
Okay, you already said. Listen, a little distraction. Shifting gears real quickly. It is my co-host and good friend's birthday, and so Tom,
Oh boy,
happy birthday.
love the color.
Aww.
Now it's going to take him a while to open that up.
What is it? What is it? I
Well,
can't
we're going to
see it.
find. He's going to find out, and he's going to express his surprise.
I don't smell food.
He's going to express.
Are you going to
Is he
finish that?
excited?
He doesn't smell food. He's already learned it's not a bottle of wine. I wrapped
It's
this
a
up
4-minute
myself.
grill.
I did this as a comedy.
It's
comedy
tissue
wrapping.
paper.
Yay!
It's
Is
a
it
lot of
shoes in the
tissue
box,
paper.
like on the
I'm going to
Abbott
need
Costello
that
show,
back.
Shoes in the box.
I'm going to need that back.
Save your tissue paper.
This is I'm like,
that's what
I got to get Tom something. What can I get Tom? Now I have a tradition of my gifts.
I
My
can't
gifts-
believe it. That's beautiful.
My gifts are always.
What is it?
Oh
My
my God.
gifts
What
was
jewelry
finally-
store did you buy that from?
How isn't it lovely?
I got a rock.
What is it? I can't
It's
see
a
it. What is
rock.
it?
It's a very pretty rock. It's
Is
a
that-
black and white rock.
Is
And
that
it
from the Rock Hall of
represents-
Fame?
Oh, look what it looks like. Oh my
It
God, look what it looks
represents. It represents. Jeff is going to tell us what it looks like. I don't want to know what he thinks it looks like.
Oh, that's
This is
bad.
not. This is a family-friendly show.
That's-
It
yeah.
doesn't look like whatever you're thinking.
Yes, it does.
Hey, Doug.
But wait a minute, I wanna finish explaining.
Sure, please do. Go ahead.
I've often given very good friends of mine rocks because they last forever.
They
I
were
don't have
good-
to worry
they were
about them
good friends.
breaking,
And they're free.
And yeah, they don't cost anything. Although I will tell you, friends of mine got married, and I carried like a 40-pound rock from the river of Missouri on a canoe, and I brought it back. And they moved. I gave it to them, and then I found out they moved a year later, and I'm looking around their new apartment for a rock.
can't eat it.
And they're like trying to hide from me that they hid the rock. So I'm gonna know you keep. That's gonna bring you good luck. That sat on my desk. I've rubbed it like every day with good vibes.
Actually, isn't tonight the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction?
That's what I said.
Do not do that with
thought I
the
heard
rock.
It's the
That's a
Rock Hall of
gift.
Fame.
No inducing that.
You got big rocks yourself to give him a rock.
Yeah, I'd say so.
He's going to get stoned
But I'm bummed.
while he has some fruity pebbles.
So listen, I can tell already we're going to get out of track if we don't do this now. So let's
Focus,
just,
focus, focus.
I want to cover on our upcoming shows because this is our show, so we get an opportunity to pitch what we're doing. So I'll just say, if you're in Montclair, New Jersey, the weekend before Halloween, October 26th, Sunday night at 7:30 is the show. It's always a wonderful show, produced by my friend Pat Grion of 414 Entertainment. All Beyond with some wonderful comics who I won't mention because I only want you remembering me.
And that's at Tierney's Tavern.
Tierney's Tavern, and then
Beautiful downtown Montclair.
November 21st, Broadway Comedy Club, the night before Thanksgiving. I'll be in the big room at Broadway Comedy Club for a
One of my
real
favorite
8:30.
poems. The night before Thanksgiving.
So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure I'll come up with other things between now and then.
Now, I'm going to be in a show tomorrow.
Tell us about it, Tom.
It's a comedy night fundraiser, Semper Fidelis 204 Marine Corps League. And this is in Deptford, New Jersey. And it's also called Deptford.
Deptford, South Jersey.
with
yes.
the wonderful Mike Egan.
Yes,
Exit
Mike,
3.
Mike
Lovely
Egan
Karen
and
Fay.
Karen Fay. And the organizer, Ken Camp. And that should be fun. Should be a good show. And also this coming Sunday, I'm going to be in Philly at Latage.
With who?
With Lettice Clapper.
Oh, Lettice at Latage.
Lettice at Latage. That's right. And that's a 7:30 show, and it's on South 6th Street, I believe.
That's a great lineup. Both shows, great lineups.
Yep.
Jack, what about you and J. Irwin Production? What's coming
I
up?
got to tell
for
you,
guys?
I am so happy that I am now sponsoring this show.
That's right.
Woohoo! We forgot.
And every time I look at the thing, I see my little name there, and that's wonderful. And I've even seen my picture in front of us. But anyway,
Yes, thank you, and thank you for being our official sponsor, Jack. We're proud.
we want J. Irwin. If you want to follow J. Irwin Productions, we're on Facebook. We're always doing shows, whether they're fundraisers for comedy shows, fundraisers for fire departments, police departments, Elks clubs, what have you. And also, we do comedy shows at restaurants. And this Friday night at the 76 House, New York's oldest continually operating restaurant, 360
Great place,
years
great place.
old.
Wow.
Wow is right.
I'm going to have, there's in Tappan, New York, I'm going to have Regina DeCecco, great headliner, Anthony Marsalisi, and Jackie Byrne. It's a killer lineup. And for tickets or any information, just go to J. Irwin Productions or to my Facebook page, Jack Hoffman.
Very good.
Very
Hey,
good.
Bob, what about you?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, Sunday I'll be opening for Who Done It at the Film Forum at 11 a.m. 209 West Houston Street in New York City. Also tailored to kiddies, and I'm looking so forward to seeing everybody there at Who Done It at the Film Forum on Sunday at 11 a.m.
Bob was just working at Comic-Con in New York, too, with his daughter last
nice.
week.
That's cool.
Yes, I get around. I'm actually doing a
So does your
honeymoon
daughter.
show. I think it's a private show Saturday night in Connecticut. And if it wasn't private, I'd be plugging that too. But it's a fundraiser. But I do a parody of the Honeymooners. It's called the Honeymooners, if you get it. Anyway,
Honeymooners.
Okay,
But next time I do a
so
public show, I'll definitely
so
plug
we've
it
done
here
all the
for that one,
promotion
but
stuff.
after this, it was public.
So now back to Bud Abbott. So Bud Abbott was regarded as a straight man. He was also very funny, obviously, but he was regarded as a
Very
straight
funny man.
So I've been told that I'm a very good straight man. I don't know why.
You're straight?
Jesus. Here we go.
So
I thought he's half bent.
comic historians, what makes a great straight man?
Timing.
Well, you have to be able to let the other person get the laughs, and you have to commit yourself to being the one that's not going to get the laughs. Because straight men, in my opinion, don't get the laughs.
Well, now
Very
Bud
rarely.
also he also had to pull the material along. He was the one that was
Oh, yeah. Cue
that was
him.
the driving force, right?
Absolutely. And then with
He
the
kind of directed
Setting
the
the
act,
pace.
really, didn't he? I mean, the straight man traditionally in burlesque used to get paid more
Mm-hmm.
than the comic because he really directed the act. He just kind of decided where they were
You
going.
hear that,
and
Tom?
what
I
they were
want
saying,
60%.
yeah, 60-40 split was what it normally
That's
was.
how it began, right?
And they were
Abbott and
harder.
Costello did.
Well, they were harder to find than the comics. The straight man, a good one.
A good one, yeah.
For his whole
And
100-year
Abbott was
life,
considered the best, wasn't he? Abbott was really considered like the primo straight man in the
Yeah.
the Minsky burlesque wheel. I mean, he
Oh,
was,
yes.
he was the best.
On the circuit, absolutely.
Well, Marx, what's his name? Groucho Marx claimed that he was the greatest straight man in the business.
yeah.
and to change the subject a little bit, for his whole life, George Burns, 100 years old, he said he called himself the greatest straight man to Gracie's
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
comedy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And, if you watch any of the old TV shows, he's constantly making fun of himself while she's making the money.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
that's-
Yeah.
And when they first
That was their
started out,
chemistry. Yeah.
when they first started out, it was reversed. George Burns tried to get the laughs and realized very quickly that that's not how the audience
That
sees
was all
it.
Gracie.
Yeah.
That's ironic. And the way Abbott and Costello moved, the way that they'd ad lib to still be successful and still pick up and still know how to cue and deliver.
Right.
That to me, that was mind blowing.
We were talking about that on another earlier show, how they were famous for talking on the skull.
Yeah.
And just blabbing along and buying time, building time.
Script?
filling
What
in time.
script?
Yeah, right.
Like we're doing here. Like we're doing
Oh
here.
God, don't script the show.
Okay, well, according to our script, what's next? We have 9 minutes.
Well,
9 minutes of show.
You can go to any of the Facebook pages. There's, 4 or 5 of them. How?
I think that was me.
Facebook pages for Abbott and Costello.
What are some of the Facebook
Wait,
groups?
you want us to
We-
go to Facebook pages now?
No, just
No,
letting
We're
people
on
know.
a radio show.
Just letting them know that they're out there.
They're out there.
They're out there.
What are a couple of the big ones?
The Abbott and Costello Forever page, the World of Abbott and Costello, Abbott and Costello Meet Facebook, Abbott and Costello, Who's on First, Abbott and Costello. And there's also there's one called Abbott and Costello on the Home Front, a critical study of the wartime films, and that's really interesting if you really want to get into the cinematography and all the film information and stuff like that there. So
There's another group on Facebook
Yes.
that has a semi-serious name, but it's called the Dead Comedian Society.
oh really?
And it talks about all the classic comedians going back to the silent films.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it's a wonderful site.
I will
and
check
a
that
lot
out.
of the people who write books about these people are on that site posting every
That's
day. It's a
awesome.
great site.
I
Thank you
hope
for
they're
telling me
hoping
that.
for us to die so they can write us.
I know
write
you're gonna have
about
to
us.
wait.
They've been writing about Doug for years.
You've been on stage a lot. And you've
Good
died
God.
all
Give me
across
a
New
rock, will
Jersey.
you?
Now I'm supposed to be the straight man.
There's also the memorabilia site, Abbott and Costello Collectibles, and a lot of great stuff on there.
I got
So-
this hat there.
So I want to go back. So Bud Abbott, as a kid watching, I always thought Bud Abbott was mean and Lou was poor and hurt. Now me as a straight man, I'm the one that's always hurt.
Well, there's a story about that too. And a little girl, they were making an appearance at a theater. I don't know when or where, but apparently a little girl had run up to Bud and kicked him in the shins and said, "That's what you get for being mean to my friend Lou." Okay. And when they asked him how he felt about that, he said, the minute she did that, I knew I was doing my job. I knew
Yeah.
I was doing it the right way. And that was a compliment.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it
So
takes
I guess the
one
fact
hell of
that
a guy.
so many comedians hate me, I should be complimented.
kids.
Sure. I used to think that as a kid too, growing up.
That Bud was mean.
I always
Well, he was always like
And,
pulling him by the collar,
Laurel
hitting him on the
Hardy. Laurel
shoulder.
was always hitting. I'm sorry.
I always related to Lou though. I was
yeah, I was
Oliver
always
Hardy was
drawn
always
drawn
in-
to him as a child.
Yeah,
always,
yeah.
always.
Well, he was the one who said I was a bad boy, and we all thought that. You know?
I was a bad.
They
boy.
had Abbott and Costello went on a campaign against juvenile delinquency in the early 1950s, and there's a lot of articles out there about what they did to donate in contests and essays and things of the like. And apparently, it was a trend during that time for a bunch of guys, 14, 15, 16, to run around the neighborhood and like smash windshields and knock out lights while they were screaming, "I'm a bad boy!"
Oh, no.
Yeah. So it was a big thing back then.
I was a juvenile delinquent too, but I used to go around houses giving them knishes, homemade knishes.
Was that you?
That was me.
Oh man, juvenile Betty Crocker. That's great. But there's so many. Doing my research and doing it through the publications, you think after 3 years of doing this daily, just for a little, a couple hours each day, you run out of stuff. You don't. Some of it's fluff, of course, and we all know.
Sounds
it is.
like we're running out of stuff now.
I've got one more point. Actually, Jeff just made me think of it. There's a monthly newsletter that goes out by email.
Yes.
That Chris Costello puts together, and
Oh, it's
Jeff
wonderful.
helps.
It's wonderful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jeff, can you give us the address so people can sign up for it?
Oh yes, I can give you the address. You can send your information, your email address to be put on the list to
A and C collectibles.
ACC. Well, it's AC Collectibles, so it's ACCOLLECTIBLES at AOL.com, and your email would be put on the list. And every month, it's just like a really happy, fun thing to get in your email. And
That's great.
I write for her on a monthly basis, and we construct it together, and I work closely with her on it. And it's been nothing but a thrill and an honor to do it. And I look forward to doing it.
How many years do you
Forever.
think the birthday parties for Abbott and Costello are going to go on?
Well, you know what? It's funny because the more parties I've attended, I've attended a handful so far since I jumped on board with the Lose Angels. I see a lot of kids. A lot of
And
little kids.
listen, Miriam Costello, Lou's great granddaughter,
Yes.
we met, and she was on our show.
Yep.
So she's got a good 80 years ahead of her.
Yeah,
or
unfortunately,
more.
she won't be with us on Saturday because she has a prior scheduling commitment. But I believe her parents may be there. I'm not sure.
Nice.
But yeah, she's a great person, and she's such a wonderful representative for the family. She's a real sweetheart and a professional, and has her own career. And she's just a really nice person to sit down and talk with.
She uses Lou's real name, right?
Well, the family name is Cristillo.
Cristillo.
Yes, and that's her birth name.
That was the old Patterson name.
Yeah, that was his birth
And
name.
was Bud Abbott always Abbott?
Yeah,
or did,
as far as I know, he was always
Yeah.
Abbott. Yeah, because Jenny Capitelli.
she was always Jenny
she's-
Capitelli.
I think it was Jenny or Jana. Oh my God, forgive me. But they found a cemetery in Long Island, and I believe it has Abbott relatives in it from way back. And they were doing a little research on that. So
If there are any Abbott relatives, by the way, I know we're going to be talking about Abbott and Costello again. We'd be pleased and honored if you'd join us, call in, tell us stories, whatever.
You know what else would
Whatever.
be great for the people who watch this? If they would log into your Facebook page, Funny Talk with
Mangelli
with Mangelli and Max, and make suggestions of future shows.
Yes.
Because we'll find the relatives that are alive or the people who wrote the books about them or whatever. That's what's half the fun for me behind the scenes while you guys run a show
yeah.
here.
Oh, I forgot. There's also a Facebook page, the Bud Abbott Birthday Party. So if you want to come and you want to RSVP, you can do so on that page.
And that's this Saturday at the Patterson Museum, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock sharp. That's when doors open, and 1 to 4 actually.
They just remodeled and redid the
I
whole area
heard.
around the falls,
Yeah.
right in the back of the museum, basically.
Yeah.
They built an amphitheater there so they can have outdoor shows with the falls as a background.
And for $5.95, you can also ride the Patterson Falls in a barrel.
Yeah.
It's a very exciting ride.
Shut up.
I have a Groupon. I got it for $3.
It's great to visit the statue, though, isn't it? I love seeing the statue.
Oh, it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't that over Cianci Street?
Cianci
Yeah.
Street? Yeah.
And how many times did Lou mention Cianci Street? Over the years.
Over the years. Probably as many as times as he said, "Good night, Patterson."
Yep.
You know?
There was a scene in one of the TV shows where they were on a game show, and there were two women and then Lou as three contestants. And
Oh, but this
What was
is
that?
what? Not what's my line? It was oh gosh.
Hold That Cuckoo. It's called Hold That Cuckoo on
Hold
the
That
Abbott
Cuckoo.
Costello show.
well, yeah,
Is this where the model was doing he had to do the poses?
no, the moderator
Oh, okay.
asked the first contestant, "Where are you from?" She said, "L.A." He said, "Oh, Los Angeles." She said, "No, Lake Arrowhead." So
Yeah, that's from
he asked,
their TV show where they do
Yeah.
the game show.
He
It's
asked-
called That Cuckoo when they get a TV.
he asked
they
the
get a
second
TV and they
contestant,
get
"Where are
onto
you
the show.
from?" And she says, "I'm from L.A." She says, "Oh, Lake Arrowhead? No, Los Angeles." And then he asked
Yeah,
Lou,
yeah.
"Where are you from?" He said, "I'm from L.A." "Oh, Lake Arrowhead? No. Los Angeles? No. Patterson, New Jersey."
That's
On
right.
that note.
Right. They do the 3 times. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, we all hope that everyone listening can join us on Saturday. Should be a lot of fun. Always
You don't
is.
want everyone listening. First of all, there could be close to 100,000 people listening. Tom, according to our demographics, most of our audience is either in Ethiopia or Sweden.
Sing Sing.
Sweden. Okay,
Oh, and
Sweden.
by the way, we
donations can be made too.
By the way, Inga, we really loved your note, so thank you. Thank you for writing to us.
You received a note from
And-
Sweden.
Inga. Inga
I've
from
seen a
Sweden.
lot of friends.
Okay.
A lot of friends log in tonight, and Gary Lascota's on, and my kids are on, and my
Nice,
wife is
nice.
on.
Everybody
John-
I saw, they want my knishes.
That's it.
So anyway,
Love and conditions.
if anyone would like to contact us at Funny Talk, our email is funnytalkmm@gmail.com. And our call-in number, it's a little late now, but 609-807-2492. Don't call now, call next time.
Yeah, remember that number. I hope we forgot to tell you to get out your pens and papers for tonight's show. There's going to be a quiz to see how well you did on writing down all the URLs and show
Oh, that's
locations.
funny.
And thanks again for letting J. Irwin Productions produce the show.
Let's hear it for
Sponsor the
J.
show.
Irwin
Yeah.
Productions.
Thank you, J. Irwin Productions. So you know where to look. Everywhere except we didn't say I have a Facebook page, Doug Max,
Yes,
and
yeah.
he's got a Facebook page,
Or two.
Tom Mangelli, and more importantly,
Greenberg.
Bob's got a green Facebook page, and more importantly, last show we lost the sound. The show before last was Julia Scotti. We lost a lot of the show due to technical details because of some reason we won't go into. But anyway, Julia Scotti will be with us next week. For those of you,
Not next week. The
2
next show,
weeks from now,
October 23rd.
Thank you.
I'll be an honor.
One time
Hurricane-
you get the date right.
Hurricane Julia will be here.
Hurricane Julia.
So this has been Funny Talk with Mangelli and Max. I'm Doug Max,
And I'm Tom Mangelli.
and he's
Jack Hoffman.
Jeff Salamondo.
and that's.
Thanks,
Bob
folks.
Greenberg.
Bob
There you go. You got your cue, Bob. All right, guys. Thank you. We're out.
Good night, all.
Night.
Good night.